It's a game of financial incentives over health and what's best for humans and what they're ingesting. The concept of getting people in touch with their food, something that they can see in their home, something they can see on their property, I think changes the dynamic of the way a person views their food. I buy a store-bought tomato today, put the tomatoes side by side of what I'm growing in my garden versus what I'm picking up at the store. It's night and day, the flavor difference. And you look at the rings of a tree. Once that tree stops adding rings and stops growing, it starts dying. And it's the same for us. Look at yourself and what you like and what you don't like. Get rid of the things you don't and lean into the things that you do like, and you can have a very fulfilled life.
It's exponential.
Hey guys, welcome to another podcast. Today I have a real treat. I have Jeff Roach. Thank you for coming.
You got it, brother.
Yeah, man. Jeff is actually a partner with Urban Abundance, and we met at the Green Market several years ago.
Yeah, Palm Beach Gardens.
That's right.
Yeah.
Jack's Garden Beds. And yeah, man, we hit it off. I guess we should maybe start there. Like, talk about your experiences with Urban Abundance and like what you see for our future.
Yeah, for sure. I just loved what you were doing. The energy, building a garden bed, right? Like anybody can go online, do a DIY, throw together a garden bed. But the energy that you were bringing to that idea was just so attractive. Like I was like, wow, this isn't just a guy that's, out throwing together garden beds. This dude's like into it. So, building a relationship with you around that energy first was, what I was into. And, you approached me not too long later about a business concept you had, and you don't mind me telling the story?
That's right. Yeah. No, go for it.
Yeah.
It's good.
And I just, I believed at the time that for you personally, bringing on partners and giving up equity, taking on money just wasn't necessary. It was early. It was super early, and you had all the tools and resources, the relationships, to be able to do it on your own. And so, gave you some tips, sent you on your way, and yada, yada, yada. You went on and built something significant, man. Just the way that people viewed you in the community, the stories I was getting back from people I know that you were working with was just really cool. And eventually we got to a point where, you did need some money. You did need to accelerate a little bit. And I was happy to participate and come on board. And it's been a very fun ride. And I see a terrific future, not just for the company, but really for the message and the vision, from my view, food independence from the system that we live in. It's a game of incentives, financial incentives over health and what's best for humans and what they're ingesting. And, the concept of getting people in touch with their food, something that they can see in their home, something they can see on their property, something that they can interact with, I think changes the dynamic of the way a person views their food. And if you can be in a position where you actually have to tap into that primal instinct of consumption, and be associated with it on a personal level, I think it just changes the mindset of health and wellness. Not just, consuming calories, but actually consuming quality calories, and that distance that's been created through the incentive system that we live in, from that food and that natural instinct, that biological instinct that we all carry, is detrimental to society to not have that connection. And, for myself as a hunter, a fisherman, I put a lot of weight into that. And I think that we're starting to see a seismic shift culturally and really systematically that people are gravitating towards. And to be a part of something that, can offer that as a service to people that don't know how to do it, to me is just very exciting.
Yeah, man, it's been an honor to have you. Like, I'm really grateful for, you always say you keep us on the tracks, and like, right, we have a big mission to accomplish. And yeah, I think there's a super big lesson in that too. Cause I think that was back in 2018 when I was initially like, hey, Jack, you're starting this farm. Like just go and be resourceful and like get it done. You're doing it.
Yeah.
And right. And like, I think a lot of people out there too are like, oh, I need all this money, or I need all these situations or help, or my parents. And when you told me to just go and do it and not give me whatever 10K or whatever it was to like fund the deal, he said, anyways, a few months later, I'm doing it, cause I put my head down every weekend, and it continued to, right, like you said, build what we're building. But yeah, I think that's important until I got to that point after COVID, like 2 years later. Yeah, when we, like that summer we sat down, we got so busy because everybody was looking for stuff like this, for solutions.
Well, and that's ultimately, from a business perspective, where you need to take on capital, right? Like the demand was really outpacing your supply.
Right.
And when you're in that position, yeah, you need capital. And that was really what I was waiting to see, is like, can you grow this to a point where you've built enough of a brand, a reputation in the area to where, okay, now you're accelerating to a point, you're going to need some money to keep pace with that demand. And, that's what we did. And,
yeah. By the way, guys, it wasn't a lot. We don't have to get into it. It wasn't
a lot.
But it got us to a couple key,
My experience in business has really always just been, use the energy and use the passion that you have to get you as far as that can take you. And, none of the businesses I've ever been in have I ever taken on significant capital. You get those little, and it could be debt, it could be whatever, just those little bits of influx of cash to be able to get to that next level. But, I've told you from day one, let's build a 100-year company.
That's it.
Let's build it with the future in mind. If you're looking at J-curve growth and go public, exit, whatever, yeah, okay, take on as much money as you can get and accelerate that. But if you go into it with a mindset, especially a business like this, where you're looking to build something long-term, sustainable, that outlives you, that's just time. It's just time, passion, energy, patience, putting all that together and just systematically taking those steps to get to where you want to go. But this is such for me, a visceral business that I feel like the passion can take you so much further than any money's going to take you. It's just.
Yeah, think about our team. We're so into that mission of building that. Like, it's big. I agree, man. I started this whole deal because it's bigger than us.
It sure is.
It's right. You have kids. Like we want the next generation to grow up in a world where there's abundance and freedoms and life.
That's a great word, and for me, a lot of it is, that's what it's about. Freedom, independence from a system. And look, I don't begrudge the system, right? I don't. We can get conspiratorial. There's this cabal, and they're deciding. Yeah. Maybe, okay. Maybe there is. Maybe there's people out there that are calling those shots with nefarious intent. But on the flip side, the people executing those visions, if that is the case, are incentivized financially to do their piece to move that process along. But you're starting to see significant pushback in that. Even if let's talk processed foods, for example. I loved Little Debbie's when I was a kid. I crushed those Little Debbie brownies all day. Yeah. They don't taste the same. And if you look at old ingredient lists on a product like that from 1986 when I was eating it to today, it's an entirely different thing.
Interesting.
The chemicals that they're putting in the food, the inflammatory oils, the stuff that they're using, it's different. And even that kind of stuff is just so far apart from when I was a kid in flavor. Like, let's not even get into the whole, like, you know, spiritual aspect of it, you know, our historical biology. You know, let's just get into that right now in your face response that your body gets from the enjoyment of consumption. I buy a store-bought tomato today versus and I've done this before. I've, you know, put the tomatoes side by side of what I'm growing in my garden versus what I'm picking up at the store. It's night and day, the flavor difference. You know, when I grow my own spinach versus buying it from the store, I can taste the chlorophyll and the minerals in the spinach that I'm growing at home. It's an entirely different flavor profile. So if we just want to look at it from that perspective,
Right.
like let's go super shallow and say, you know,
Right.
taste wise, I'd much rather eat my own carrot than a store-bought carrot because I can taste the difference, you know, putting all the rest of it aside. And that to me is such an opportunity to give to people to say, hey, it's not just healthier for you. It's not much more, you know, it's not just more nutrient dense and healthier for
Which
you.
it is.
It, of course.
Yeah.
But it tastes better.
Yeah.
It does. You know,
It's like fish. I mean, you know, you're a fisherman and a hunter. Same deal.
Absolutely.
Those elk burgers you can't get enough of, man.
Yeah.
Like it really is true.
Yeah.
Like what they say, once you experience the highs, it's hard to go back to the lows.
100%. And you can do it at home in an affordable way with food that you know what its life cycle. You know, it's what I love about wild game too. You know, I watch these animals all year long. You know, when I'm deer hunting, I got cameras out. I'm following these animals. I see their movement patterns. I see what they're eating, what they're not eating. And I know my meat. I know it. I've been tracking these animals all year long. So when I go out and harvest, the joy is not in the harvest. Like, in fact, that's like the most anticlimactic part of it. It's actually a little sad every time I harvest an animal. That's I would go to the animal, I say a little prayer over it. I'm grateful for the animal sacrificing its life for me. But I've had that interaction, right? That just...
A lot of people don't have that. What you're talking about.
They don't have it at all.
Yeah.
Zero.
But it's interesting what you're saying. You're like observing the game all season, just like the garden. You're engaging.
Absolutely. And that's the difference to me. And, you know, that I'm sure that doesn't fit in a lot of people's lives. You know, it's a pretty significant endeavor.
Yeah.
But going outside, you're in your backyard anyway, right? You don't have to go out into the forest and forage. You know, like, it's in your backyard.
Right.
But at least you're getting to interact with your food and you're getting to participate in its production, which is already fulfilling. Anybody that hasn't had a garden before, hasn't harvested their own food, I promise you, there's a real connection that you get, a piece that you get, just participating in that process. You know, I think that that's fantastic. And I think that that's the spirit of what we're doing and what is important to me in the big question of why we're doing what we're doing, you know, and whatever it is for anybody. One thing I can tell you, back to the original point, is it tastes better. It's better quality food. It just is.
Yeah.
You know, try for yourself, check it out and see the difference. It's a sizable difference.
That's right. And we're blessed down here. We can grow all year round.
Which is remarkable.
Yeah.
Look, and I don't have the tomatoes I was referencing. You know, I compared against hydroponic organic tomatoes. You're just not going to get the level of nutrients, and that nutrient density is what creates the flavor. And look, you live up north, you don't have another option, you know, great. Yeah, grow hydroponic tomatoes, but you're 100% correct. We're in a place where, yeah, maybe I can't get tomatoes year round, but I can get peppers. I can get, you know, bananas, fruit trees, like that's mangoes.
You have a lot in Tequesta by you.
Oh, ton.
Mangoes.
Yeah, my neighborhood's loaded with them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's good stuff. I want to get into also today, like, your business acumen and, like, because you're the best guy, Jeff, but you're also a savage when it comes to business, like in a way where it's just like, meaning you really are an executor. You get it done. Like, and I see it in you. And I guess what would you like, I don't want to just say, hey, it's genetics. Like you're like, but like, what do you, right? Like, what do you specifically do different? Like, how do you do what you do in the business realm? Like, is there anything you can help people out? Because a lot of people want to start businesses and don't know where to start.
Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, for me coming up as an athlete, and that ended for like most athletes, it ends abruptly without much fanfare, right? Like it just ends one day.
As a young, baseball, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I spent a couple years just toiling, trying to go to school, doing different things. And what was missing in my life was that competition. And, there's very few things in life, if you're a competitor, that can feed that past whatever you built that competitive need around, and for most people it's sports or something similar. And there's just not a lot of endeavors in life, out in the real world when you're a grown up that can replace that childhood need. And for me, business is like, it's a forever game. I can just play this game in perpetuity. And, once you get to that point, okay, I understood that at 21 years old, dropped out of college, joined an internet startup. I was like, yeah, wow, this is feeding my competitive juices again. Then you move on to the steps of, okay, what do I want out of this? And the real question is, why do you want it? And if that's a why that you can really lean into and be excited about, then it's not really working. It's just not. It doesn't feel like a job. It feels
high level, man.
Yeah, and that's the key. Is what do you want? Why do you want it? I talk to you about this all the time. Like how you will figure how out. There's so many different paths to success. My way of doing things isn't going to work for most other people, and I just try to within my businesses not force my process onto everybody else. You got to really customize what you're doing to the needs of your best people and try to find those best people. And as long as they're on board with your what and the why, that how's going to shake out however it needs to get you where you want to go and get the outcome that you're looking for. And I think that that's really the main key that has, allowed me to be somewhat successful. I don't know if I'll ever view myself as a success. And I think that's just that competitor in me.
Right.
That
there's other levels to go to.
Yeah. Well, look,
we need, right.
We all always have a master. There's always somebody bigger. There's always, so if your goal is just more, you're never going to win that game. Because even if you do get to that rarefied air of the top earners in the world, there's always somebody looking to knock you off that pedestal. And if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, that you can't live there.
Doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter.
Wow, it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, yeah, man. I love what you're saying. It's the competition, the game, the forever game.
Yeah.
Like how much more exciting is it when you frame it like that?
If that's in you.
Yeah,
right? Like, I just found this out recently. My grandmother told me a story. She was over visiting the baby and she's like, yeah, I couldn't even play board games with you when you were a little kid. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, you were just a little monster. Like if you lost, you were an animal. You'd turn into a little just psychopath. And I was like, maybe that is genetic. I don't know. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why, but I just like to compete. That's why I still do jiu-jitsu. That's why it's one of the big things that I like about hunting is it's me against nature. It's me having to we're tapping into an instinct, right?
Big time.
All of this stuff, it doesn't matter what we're talking about in life, business, whatever. It's irrelevant. What is relevant is that we have core drivers, and our core drivers come from the amygdala, which is survival instinct, your fear response, your flight response, and greed, right? And that greed stems from only two things biologically: consumption, the ability to gather calories, and this is for all living things, to gather sustenance, which makes you stronger and more appealing to the opposite sex to procreate. Those are the two primary drivers. And if you can distill yourself down to those lowest common denominators and work from there, you can find what drives you. You can find what's important to you. And we all have that same baseline.
For
right?
sure.
We all have the same baseline. But now you have to identify who you are and what you actually want. And back to that why. Like, what do I want? Why do I want it? And we're all being driven by the same thing. To survive, fear response, flight response, and to thrive, the greedy response, which is going to be, and greed's not a bad thing, you know,
right.
we all want more, and whatever it is that we want more of it.
Yeah,
but
you see kids, when I'm harvesting with kids, they want like, can we go get more? I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, we just picked 100 tangerines. They're tuned into that in them, right?
And that's a natural instinct, right? And we all, not just us, every plant and animal on the planet are competing all the time for resources to procreate.
Right.
And when they're avoiding resources, it's out of a fear of survival, of this could kill me, you know, and you see it all throughout nature, you know, and that's one of the things where, you know, for me, hunting has just been an incredible eye opener to who I am because of those observations that you make in the field, and you see how connected you actually are to everything else, because we're all behaving the same way, you know. It's all behaving the same.
In nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting, man.
It is.
Yeah, we get to see our actual place in this universe.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're just a little tiny bitty part of it, you know, and then, which is also extremely humbling.
Totally. And that's where I was about to go with it, man. Because I see that in you. Like, you're saying, oh, I'm never going to get there. I don't see myself as there. And I think you're not necessarily putting yourself down. You're just coming from at a place of objectively, hey, here's actually where I'm at. I'm not God.
Well, where's there?
Right.
Where's there? Like,
right. Exactly.
You know,
We think we have to go chase some other, like, we think we have to chase like some other level, but we already have it.
We do though. You know, and think about it like, you know, I've cut down a lot of trees in the woods, you know, and you look at the rings of a tree. Once that tree stops adding rings and stops growing, it starts dying. And it's the same for us. Growth is really what it's about. There is constantly pursuing incremental growth. You know, and I just
That's
think
it, man. And you have to be humble in order to do that.
Well, absolutely.
You think you have it all, right?
Right. And that's what I mean by there's no there. What's there? There is the grave. Like that's it.
That's
you
what
know?
you're saying.
Yeah, it's you're there when it's over, and hopefully you spent the limited time that you have doing the most that you can to be the best person you can be, and helping the most amount of people that you can. And that's really, to me, what it all boils down to. You know, that growth and that size and that gravity that we create is, from my perspective, for me, coming from a place where the bigger and stronger that I can get, the more people I can help, the more causes that I can be a part of. And I think that's
so true, man.
Yeah. And I think we all want that. I really do. I think, you know, it's like, I think the guy's name is Matt Bowser. He had a show. It was a dog show. My daughter loved it. I forget what it was called, but he says there's no such thing as a bad dog. You know, and he's proven it. Like, he's taken these dogs that are like biting people, doing stuff, and retraining them to just change their behavior patterns. And I think that good is in all people too. It's just
transfer it to people. It's the same thing.
Absolutely. You just got to reprogram yourself to maximize, like I said, this time that you have on this planet. And, you know, everybody wants that acceptance, that attention, that glorification, that gratitude. Everybody wants it. You know, and unfortunately for many people, based on whatever factors in their life, they end up getting rewarded and get that attention that they're looking for through negativity. And that creates a pattern of negative behavior. And if you can break through that and understand who you are, you can get to a point, you know, where you can actually get that attention and get that fulfillment from something positive versus negative. And, you know, that's why judgment is so dangerous. That's why, you know, trying to critique other people and look inwards, man.
Mm-hmm.
Look at yourself and what you like and what you don't like. Get rid of the things you don't and lean into the things that you do like. And you can have a very fulfilled life, business wise, personal relationships, whatever. But that's really where it starts is being able to identify those things and change the behavior in a way that's beneficial to you.
So good, man. Yeah, guys, this is why I want to bring Jeff on. It's just, it's so good, and I hope it's beneficial to y'all out there. Like, Jeff, when I came to you at one point, I was like, hey, Jeff, this is really what I'm looking to do, you know? And anyways, like Grow Urban Abundance, we were getting into all that. And I also was like, hey, I want to be a musician. You're like, dude, awesome. Like, start now. So he says, start now.
Yeah.
Like, we, you know, because you know, it's like we have limited time, finite time on this planet.
You know, my view on that was, and still is like, you have to have those things in your life that fulfill you. You know,
you have to.
Especially when you're running a business, a lot of it can get very acidic. It can just be, you know, demoralizing. You especially, you know, this as a business owner, you're a firefighter, man. All you do is deal with problems, you know, all day long. And that can wear you down. And so, you know, the way I viewed you and music was, wow, this is something this guy loves. It's something that means something to him and can recharge your batteries. So do it, like, go hard at it. You know, if that's what keeps you sane and keeps you happy, while you're dealing, you know, with all these problems and in the face of all those problems, why wouldn't I encourage you to lean into it?
Fulfillment.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's huge.
What are some stuff that fulfills you, Jeff?
These days, my children, you know, progeny is just nothing. You can't explain it to people unless you have children and you can look at their faces and watch them develop and watch them grow. There's no understanding of it, you know, until you're there. And having watched my first daughter, who's 11 now, grow up has just been remarkable. She's an amazing person, is super fulfilling. My little one, little 2.5-month-old, is, you know, she's healthy, she's happy, she's silly.
She looks happy.
Oh, she's such a happy baby. Wow. And that for me is what I'm mostly focused on today. But, you know, my younger self and what I hope in the future, you know, for me, like music for you, I like being in the woods, man. I like being in the woods. I want to spend as much time in the woods as I can.
I'm the same. That's why we probably get along so great, man. In the woods.
Which is interesting because we're just two such wildly different people.
Yeah.
You know, but that goes back to my point. You know, like what's inside of all of us is those drivers are the same. You know, and I encourage people as much as possible, even if you're not an outdoorsman, it's not, just get out there, get out in nature. I don't care if it's the beach, if you're a beach person, if it's the woods, if it's the mountains, if you like being on the water, the ocean, like it just, you tap into something different, man. And I really hope, you know, one day in the not too distant future when kids are grown that, you know, not in school, not needing to be near society, I can get out and spend the majority of my days, you know, interacting in nature and getting that just primal feeling on a more consistent basis.
Yes. We do live in South Florida, suburbia.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, man. The woods. You like the woods.
I love it, man. I love the forest. The forest is just so cool. You know, being out there as the sun's coming up is just, there's nothing like it, man. There's nothing like that early morning in the forest, seeing all the critters come to life, all the birds start chirping, you know, animals start moving around. It's just like, this is it, man. This is what life is. This is, you know, we've manufactured this way of living that is so unnatural.
Right.
And
in these rooms with this phone, we wake up and
100%, man. It's
turn on
not
the coffee.
It's not
Wow.
historically the way that we've lived, and our biology just has not caught up and likely won't catch up with the speed of technology. So we have, and I think that's a big problem societally too, where people just get disconnected and then you don't understand that feeling. And that's why I really do encourage people to get out there in nature. It's such a spiritual endeavor, and tapping into that just old brain and feeling that joy, which is remarkable. There's nothing, to me, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah. I agree, man. What do you think's going to happen with that? Like you kind of brought it up, our biology won't catch up. Like what do you think we're like devolving, or do you think we'll break out of it? Or
I'm conflicted on that.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted on it from the standpoint of, look, this is a beautiful planet that has produced an incredible abundance of life, but it will kill you. You know, it will kill you. I mean,
Whoa.
Yellowstone is a caldera. It's a giant super volcano, the whole park. And it goes off every 600, 800,000 years. And we're like in the middle of that. So like from a holistic spatial survival standpoint, yeah, technology, let's become interplanetary, or, you know, let's survive. My survival instinct leads me there. You know, back to that fear response of like, we need to integrate with technology, like the meteors, calderas, like there's so many things on this planet that can kill us and wipe us off, you know, make us extinct. So you have this like conflict of that, and that requires, you know, everybody to be on the same page. That requires leadership and all these things. And like, so like when I look at like globalism and things like that, and the survival side of me is like probably necessary. Like we do all have to get on the same page, but the cost of that is personal liberty.
Big time.
And my personal liberty to me is, and ask my wife this, she knows it's the most important thing in my life. So that's a real conflict of like, do we focus just on this planet, which inevitably will destroy us, you know, especially, you know, if you subscribe to
we need at the same time.
Correct. You know, it's a real, you know, internal conflict for me.
And I think a lot, dude, that's very well said, Jeff. But I think a lot of it is also like have our personal liberties, like live with freedom, but then live in a way, you know, take actions that also protect the planet, and right,
very altruistic thought, but we're human beings, and you know, in order to get to that level of unity, I mean, we're tribal. You know, there's a reason why the military only has 150 people in a platoon or unit. I'm not sure the terminology, but it's because once you get beyond 150 people. And there's like Gore-Tex is a company that's a great example. When they have a factory that gets 150, 155 people, they build a new one because they know once you get past that point, you're going to have
you stop treating
a de-evolution of the unity of that group, right? Wow. And that's just who we are biologically.
We used to, someone wrote a book on this. We used to live in tribes of 150 people.
Yep.
So that's all we know of, like, hey, we take care of this. Once it goes beyond that,
and once you have power over, you know, I'm sure you've heard the term absolute power corrupts absolutely. You have a real degradation in care and concern for other people once it gets to a certain level. And that's, you know, in itself kind of frightening, you know, because what kind of person can lead you to that level of unity? And I think that's where you get more into, you know, the spiritual realm and caring holistically about people. It's why you're seeing such a revival in Christianity, particularly in this country, because that's that message, is that love everybody, love your enemy, those that hate you. You know, that's what the Bible's telling you to do, is to give love to those people. Unfortunately, our nature is not to do that. Our nature is to make enemies of people, and the further disconnected you can get from them that aren't on the page of what you're telling them to do, and you have that level of power, we're not instinctually built to manage that load. And, you know,
especially when we're not living in little tribes, 150 people connected, like we're in these city centers, you know.
But even then even down at the tribal level, you're going to butt heads with other tribes. It's that, and that's what I'm saying. It's that disconnection. That disconnection from those people makes it a lot easier to justify doing wrong to those people, you know, and that's a real conflict for us. And I think that, you know, and whatever form that takes for you, not having, an appreciation, a love, humility, and submission to a higher power is problematic. You know, the only way for us as humans to be able to treat each other right is to understand that we were created by something. We all were. And all things in the universe were. And when you accept that, it becomes a lot easier to treat people the way that you'd want to be treated.
Big time. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Love is the answer, man.
It is. And, you know, and doesn't, again, I grew up in a Judeo-Christian background and have a Christian faith, but that's, God is love, right? God is grace. Yes. And almost every religion that I know of on this planet shares a similar sentiment, you know, that God is love. You know, we were created out of love. And, you know, I've had some experiences in my life where, you know, I'm fairly convinced that, you know, if we're looking at this from like a physics perspective and a dimensional perspective, you know, fourth dimension being time, I believe the fifth dimension is love, and that's where our God resides.
Yeah, Jeff, this is awesome, man. Thank you for coming. I want to, we're limited on time, but I could do this all day. Dude, I want to talk about VCon too, and marketing and kind of that world. Do you remember when we got those tickets a couple years ago?
That was a wild night trying to buy those NFTs.
Yes.
That was
So tell them. So we were trying to go to VCon. We needed to buy NFTs to get them, right?
Yep.
And you were like, Jack, we need to go to this. It's a great deal. Like this, that, and the third. I was like, okay, we need Ethereum, right?
Yeah. Well, I was already, you know, real close with a lot of that community, and had a lot of friends high up at VaynerMedia, and
that's right.
I really just wanted you to be exposed to that energy, you know. And I go to a lot of business conferences throughout the year, and that event, you know, is just the positivity there, the energy there.
Yeah. The community, man.
The community is really strong, and I mean, you know, you've been twice now.
Yeah.
Like we met incredible people.
Dude, we had a blast.
Yeah. We've just met incredible
in the
people.
studio with like, dude, Miguel, like just like epic people, you know, not today, like tons of different.
That was
people.
awesome. We got lucky on that one.
Yeah, dude, that was a blast.
Yeah.
Man, just incredible people.
Yeah. And look, you know, so taking this to marketing, who are you marketing to? People.
Right.
You know, and what I really wanted you to see out of that was that despite all of the, you know, dirty business that goes on and a lot of things that you've seen and experienced through me,
you know,
that's not how it has to be.
Facts.
It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be cutthroat. It doesn't have to be.
That's what attracted us to Gary's world anyways.
Yeah.
Because he kind of talks.
Well, you don't have to take from somebody else to lift yourself up, you know? And when you're around a lot.
That's it.
Yeah, when you're around a lot of other positive energy and people that are thinking the same way, it's hard not to get amped up about that.
That's right.
And
there's so much, guys. There's value everywhere here.
Yeah,
that was the whole kind of concept.
Yeah, who are we gonna bring this year?
That's a good question.
We got an open seat.
Where is it this year?
LA.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Maybe
we gotta check the dates.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we gotta check the dates. Yeah. But yeah, we gotta.
But I remember you. Anyways, you were like trying to get the tickets. You were like kind of buying Ethereum, anyways, at that time.
We.
And it didn't go through your ETH.
Oh, dude, it was so hard to do.
Remember, you were like calling. You're like, dude, my ETH is all locked up in some, you know, other whatever marketplace. And I was like, dude, I have some. And we got the tickets.
And you transferred it over, and we got crushed on gas fees because I didn't know. I'd never bought an NFT before, bro. I had no idea how to do it. So it was like an extra $500 to buy the first one, and I didn't know how to set the settings.
We had no
on
idea
it.
what we're doing.
No clue what I was doing.
I don't know. I'm a farmer, you know. I'm like, dude, Jeff, you got to handle this shit.
No, that was a crazy night trying to get that done, but I'm glad we got it done, and we've had 2 great experiences. We got one more. I'm interested to see what those guys do with that community, because it's, you know, and knowing Gary and his brother AJ the way I do, like they're not going to let that be the end of it. That those NFTs are going to carry on to something else, you know, and I'm excited to see what they bring next behind that.
For sure.
Yeah. Talk about forever business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man. And shout out D-Rock, by the way.
Yeah,
too.
D-Rock.
He's our guy.
He is. D-Rock's the man. I love D-Rock.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's I hear he's doing great things. I miss him. Hope to see him soon. Heard from him the other day, but
Cool.
Gotta find out, maybe he'll be out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. It'd be good to see him.
Yeah, 2024, we got big things coming this year, man.
Big things coming. Very proud of you, and just the way you've stayed the course. And I'm looking forward to the next decade, 20 years, 30 years down the road where this thing goes. Very, very, very grateful to be a part of it. It's just such a fulfilling business, you know, and to go around and just to see the production that people are getting, and to just see, you know, what you've done at the farm has been amazing. Like from 2 years ago to today, like that place just looks incredible. If anybody has a opportunity to get out there and to see what Jack's built and what's possible on your own land, I highly encourage you to do it. It's an incredible thing to go see.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. You mean a lot to me. I appreciate you.
Same.
Man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll see you guys. Thank you.
We're in the garden. It's existential.